Hey guys, it's your girl Eb, and we are back with another episode of More Than Conversation where we do live together and
talk about it.
I am here with my amazing co-host. Please introduce yourselves.
Is your mic on?
My mic was off. How embarrassing. Hey guys, it's Ashleigh here.
Yeah, you see, it's your boy Ash. Take it easy.
And it's your boy Trey. If we did it my way, we would do this every day.
How's everybody doing?
We
Pretty
here.
good. Pretty
Yeah.
good. My bestie Rex, the lizard, is still on the window.
He's gonna be there all the time.
Love
Even if I kick him out, he's still
I
gonna
love
be there.
you, Rex.
I'm cool. I'm calm. I'm collected.
I figured.
I'm chilling.
Woogie, woogie.
Yeah, we in here like swimmer. So let's get it.
And I'm tired, so I'm very exhausted, y'all. After this, I'm gonna take a shower and I'm gonna take a nap. And I hate napping because I feel like it'll affect my sleep schedule later
Said
on.
nobody ever.
No, like I feel like you never heard like if you nap in the day, then you'll have a hard time going back to sleep at
That's
night.
a mental thing.
I have heard that actually.
Yeah, it's
So that
it's
don't-
all lies.
That doesn't actually happen.
I mean, try it out for yourself.
It's happening.
all
No,
lies.
I'm gonna try today. It ain't looking like dinner's gonna be prepared late tonight because I'm
yes,
tired.
your sleep schedule will be messed up if you sleep 4 to 5 hours in the middle of the day, but an hour nap won't mess up your sleep schedule.
This ain't gonna be no hour.
Okay, less than 3-hour naps won't mess up your sleep schedule.
1 hour.
If you sleep 6 hours in the middle of the day, then you better be guaranteed then you can be hard to sleep.
True. I used to take so much naps in college. It was ridiculous. Trying to nap in between classes was funny, like during lunch.
College
Just-
naps were the best.
Did it mess up your sleep schedule?
You know what? I was doing too much to even not be sleepy at the end of the night. So it doesn't even matter, to be honest. But I got a question, right? What do y'all think has caused so many people to dislike Christians? Like, I totally get that the Bible said that we would be persecuted. Like, that's a given. I know that. But, like, from your personal experiences, like, what have you seen, like, turn people away from Christianity or just make them just dislike it? In general, like, one of the things I think is, like, we mentioned this a few episodes ago, but the hypocrisy. Like, you know, people are just like, why would I want to be you when you and me do the same things and your life is no different than mine? Because I feel like back in Bible days, you could always tell people serve God because of the fruit they used to bear. But like a lot of us don't be bearing no fruit.
Right.
We just be doing whatever. Like, we live really lukewarm lives and it's confusing to other people. So they're like, well,
It's
why do I have to commit to something that you yourself aren't
committed to.
fully committed to?
Yeah.
And then those hypocritical Christians have the gall to try to tell someone else how to do whatever they're doing or what to do with their life, or trying to convict them of their sin, but
Right,
you're not
right.
even being convicted of your own.
it's the the reputation. The reputation precedes every person that called themselves a believer of Christ or a Christian. And it's because of history as well. So basically, whatever people have heard or thought, seen, read about Christians throughout history, mind you, from the beginning, they associate that with everything. So any
everyone
rumor,
too.
any legend, anything, they consider everybody in one swoop. So that whole time frame, in history where it was Christians who were persecuting and killing people, they consider everybody to that same thing. When they consider it was Christians who were hypocritical and doing this, and then at the end of the day, they out in this place, they consider that with everybody. So
Yeah.
as a group, that's why people say, like, show me your friends or show me your group, and then I can show you the type of characteristics that you may have. They consider that with everybody. So if we
Birds of a
identify,
feather.
if flock together. So if we identify with this type of group, they're going to put you in this box. And this is all the things that they consider you to be. That's why Jesus used to say, hey, people always is asking him, who are you? The man never really answered that question other
My
than,
name is Jesus
I am.
Christ of
I am.
Nazareth.
I am. I am. So whatever you say, I can't stop you from saying that. Whatever that person says about you or about us, that's what they're going to think. We cannot change people's minds with force. So however we act is however they're going to receive.
People gonna listen,
Right,
go
that's
based
true.
off like your actions and
Yeah.
not your
Our actions speak
words.
louder
'Cause,
than words.
Yeah, a lot of us say we're Christians, but our actions are giving
exactly.
very much worldly, very much what kind of Christian.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of Christian this is. Or like you said a couple episodes ago, oh, we doing that now?
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
that's
Yeah.
allowed in here?
And
Like that's what
even-
we doing?
Even though it's 2022, a lot of the actions of the past, of biblical times, of medieval times, whatever time frame you want to talk about, AB,
CD,
EC,
EFG.
like whatever, like AD, yeah, it doesn't matter.
You said AD.
Yeah, AD.
It sounded like you said
Oh,
AB.
it did.
That's why I said C, D, E, F, G.
It's okay.
What?
Miscommunication.
It's okay.
It's
But
okay.
what?
The exhaustion.
But yeah, like people today, believers today they're still suffering or being persecuted or having to, I guess, take on the responsibility of past actions of people who call themselves Christians back then. And even today, like people who go overseas in different countries, like a lot of us are in a great situation that we honestly should be grateful for, because in certain parts of the world, if you even like say that you're a believer in Christ or you're a Christian, they are going to kill you.
Yeah.
They are still to this day, they're going to kill you. Like people in sports or in business, when they go to make business deals or sports deals, sign contracts in other countries on the other side of the world. We're in the US, so I'm saying on the other side of the world. Like, you're going to be drilled on if you are a Christian. And like certain people, even to this day, like, yes, people say like, you know, Peter denied Jesus, Judas betrayed Jesus. People to this day still have that hard decision where they have to decide, hey, am I going to decide to die today for Christ, or am I going to decide to live another day and say no for my family, for myself, or for other things? And these decisions have to be made by people to this day.
Yeah.
Like in a sports league, it was a story about these guys who were being picked up, and they were immediately asked if they were if they shared the same belief as the person who was driving the car, and if they answered a certain way that wasn't agreeable, they would have been the person who was driving the car would have told the government or the authorities, and they would have been killed.
Wow.
To this day.
So why go to what?
But that's another thing. Like,
Why go to the place?
it's human. We do things for money. We like
True.
it may not be the best situation, but
Right.
people make business decisions. It may not be godly decisions. It may not be spiritual led decisions, but people are approached with decisions that they have to make. Everybody
Yeah.
isn't perfect. We're human.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I'm just shining light on that situation is still present to this day,
Yeah. The persecution.
and they don't know them. They would not have to know you. They don't have to know you. Once you label that on you,
Once you go around them
all-
about any Jesus,
any trauma that has been experienced in that other practice, any situation, any action, anything led up to that point, will be a rain of fire
Trey, you okay?
that'll be
I've been
shared
thinking about everything you
on
said.
yeah.
Uh.
I coming in heavy. My bad. not even my bad. You know, accept it. It's what it is. It's truth to this day.
Ashleigh?
Okay, so when the question was posed, like, I immediately thought about like my life, like growing up. I lived in Jamaica and I went to church, and it was just this very traditional church. These women used to dress up and they would wear the hats.
I was just about
the
to
very
say,
big
not the big hats.
Yes, and they'd have the fans. The men would have the handkerchiefs because they're sweating, like, and you know, they would get loud at certain points. They would get quiet at certain points, and we'd have the very traditional music. And it just kind of felt like, looking back, it kind of felt like dress up on Sundays.
Crazy.
So it didn't mean anything, like, to me.
They was playing church.
Yeah. So now that like years have gone by, I moved to America and I went to Oasis. Oasis was the first church that I came to in America. And like, it was so different. It was so modern. It was, people did not
That
wear,
culture shock.
Yeah. And I was just like, what is this? I'm not used to this. I'm not used to the songs almost like being like rock. Or
and the lights and the smoke machine. Yeah.
It's mind blowing. You can go in jeans to church.
And you can go in jeans.
And women wear pants.
Like, I used to have to wear like a dress and like church shoes.
I was just about to say, is it the squeaky, shiny church shoes
Yes.
with the frilly socks or the stockings?
I had the frilly stocks.
Does it sound like when SpongeBob had those boots on?
Nah.
No, sir.
Okay.
My shoes used to
But-
clickety clack all over the place.
Your little
My
boots I'm talking
black
about, right?
church
Yes.
shoes
The
with
boots that he
little
cooked.
But yeah, like, I say that to say, I just used to look at the church as being very boring and just not like not real. Like,
falling
it
asleep
can't
in
help
church
me.
used to be like,
I'm just like, y'all can't help me. Like, I'm good. And it wasn't until like, I don't know. I'm sure like a few people were used. Like, people off of YouTube were used just to show me, and Oasis too was used to show me like, that's not what church is.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not playing dress up. Like, it's real. It's a real relationship. There's life. There's teachings that can be used for life application. But, and oh God, I'm gonna put myself out there.
Put it out there.
Okay.
Step into
So
the
like,
light.
as a Christian, oh God.
Oh,
Okay.
Step
okay.
forth.
I'm gonna say it. As
Come
a
hither.
Christian female, they're just like, you have to like, when you want to like settle down with somebody, like, you have to like be with a Christian male. And I was like, I could not.
I'm not gonna lie, these
I
Christian
could
males make
not.
Christian men a little questionable because y'all don't be.
But I'm not even talking about that. Like, it's like, I used to think they were so nerdy. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I used to think, because like, I just used to think that they were so nerdy. I'm like, God,
The
really?
stigma.
I'm like, because of the stigma. And I'm just like now
I know
that
exactly
I
what you
know
mean.
better.
It's our fault.
Where's the
yeah, just
attraction?
It's
I
our
know
it's our
exactly
fault.
what
I'm
you
so
mean.
sorry. Okay, let me paint
Yeah.
you a picture, like what I used to see. So, you know, the people that they used to call like the Poindexters, like in
Yeah.
the past, you know.
Like Urkel.
Yeah,
That's what the
yes,
church boys
that's-
to look
yes. And I was just like, God, I don't want that.
And they ugly
Like-
plaid shirts and
It's our fault.
And that's
Right.
okay.
It's
I'm
our-
sure somebody is attracted to that.
it
But
just was
like,
never me.
It just was not giving. And I was
So-
like, God, I don't know.
So basically, for 2,000 years, the church has been failing on presentation. It has not been. It has not been
Okay,
attracting people the
so
proper way.
with everything that you've experienced with church, like, in your experience, what has made people just is it your experience that may have made you like dislike Christianity at one point in time?
It was my experience. It was just like something that we did. It was just something.
Oh,
to
it never
do.
meant anything.
It didn't mean anything.
So
to
at that
me.
point, he was just uninterested.
And then there's there's the different stereotypes in the church. There's like the older women, the prayer warriors, that they just look.
Who always talk about everybody.
Sorry.
Why are you sorry?
They be
man?
looking.
It's
Okay.
Facts is facts.
Okay, I'm gonna just be. They look. Okay, they look so old and like frail, and they're the prayer warriors, and it's just like you're not seeing the fruit.
Their hands shake when you go
and
to
their
give them a
hand
hand.
shakes, and I'm just like, I don't want to be like that, you know.
Some
'Cause
of
it's
them
like,
are very sweet, mind
some
you.
of them
but
are
some of them
very
just
sweet.
play in
But
church.
that's the
there's
thing.
like this view of being broken down
Yeah,
and tired.
You see how
Oh my
like
God,
the entire world,
And I'm like,
the
I don't
entire
want
world, we compare the entire church to everybody's grandparents, because in church it was usually all the old people, and then the older people, and then just dragging the grandkids or the parents every once in a
Yes,
while.
that's what it was.
That's what church was viewed as, and it's like it was viewed as old school. So like it was only a place where all the older generation, the older people, pulled up. You know, the grandparents, like she said, the grandparents with the hats and with the big bags,
Going
and
to
all
prayer
the
meeting at
all the
6
bright
o'clock in the morning.
the bright clothing with the button downs and the
Don't
2X
forget the
suits
tambourine.
and stuff like that.
Oh.
Yeah, like
The 2X suit.
like it's been like this image that's been imprinted at. I think that focus was placed in the wrong light, or the wrong focus was placed in the light. Yeah. I feel
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Ashley basically touched on everything that I thought about.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, you know what? I never had a problem with church, but I can see why the people who did, because they associated, well, not church, Christianity, but they associated Christianity
type of church.
directly with the church.
Yeah.
And I grew up Anglican, so of course church was very structured. Like there was nothing exciting about church. No single lick of excitement.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, this is just something that I go and I do on a Sunday
Waking
morning.
up dead early on a Sunday
Yeah,
morning
and
and
it's
go
like-
sit in the pew bored out of your mind.
Exactly. And if you were to be honest with yourself, it was like I really rather be home
Yes.
than not be here. And like I said, like because of that like structured view of the church, and like I said, I grew up in the Caribbean, so most churches were like Anglican, or there's a Catholic church, but I feel like that's what most
Baptist.
people Baptist, Methodist.
Yeah.
Church is very structured. Like I said, the songs were the same songs. There wasn't that many upbeat songs.
No, they all sound the same.
And
like
the only two instruments they really had in the church, or at least for me growing up,
drums and piano.
it was not even drums. It was the piano, and if some church really had a tambourine. That's all we had out there.
Yeah.
No,
So
it's the
structure.
hymns, like the
Yeah.
hymn books.
Yeah.
Books.
And then like every song would sound horrible.
You're right. I mean,
Sorry,
this
guys.
is just my personal experience.
We
but
so
the
sorry.
people in my church couldn't hold the
Transparency.
tune either. That was another thing.
Yeah,
Like, so
no,
the
there was
music-
always like this one old person
were
just
off.
singing
It's not
very
even
loud.
you don't even have to be
loud.
sorry. You can't apologize for an entire
I know. You know
for an
why?
entire generation.
You know why? Because I've never been so honest
But
about
this
it.
is how the young
That's how
The
they
young
do it.
people,
Bro,
this is
you-
why the
you-
young
and
people
this is why-
leave
this
church.
is why-
Yeah.
So crazy.
This is why it's so
Literally.
hard to attract them, because like they just seeing something where it seems, like Trey said, it seems boring, it seems dead. It doesn't
Yeah.
seem like life. It doesn't seem like
Yeah.
everybody's coming out of the church alive. Like everybody isn't coming out
Yes.
Yeah.
alive. You're like,
Like,
certain
ooh,
churches.
I got
This
some
isn't every
Jesus.
church, but like
This is just my
this
personal
is just
This
certain
is
churches where
mainly the
everybody
churches that haven't
everybody
evolved.
yeah,
they
like
haven't
the stigma,
tried to
the stigma
evolve. They
of
have wanted
yeah.
to stay the same,
like
and they
they're
want
not
more
coming
young
out
people.
alive,
I was
and
an
they're not
altar boy,
feeling.
and I was sleeping during the sermon up on the altar, bro. Bad.
No, but my thing is, right, a lot of these churches turn a lot of young people away because they ask the young people what they need from the church. The young people tell them what they need, and then they don't implement anything. They don't do anything new.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, we don't have any young adults or whatever. Your church is
a
not
mixture.
inviting.
Yeah, it's a mixture of having a hard heart to change, and then tradition.
Yes.
Instead of worshiping and serving God, it turns into a tradition.
And
So
religion
it's just
too. It's
everything,
more religion over
everything just
relationship.
turning like a circle. It just all happens over and over and over. And then as the young people get older and they're seeing this, and they growing up from I guess some churches they had
Children's church.
children's church, or you would
Yeah.
call it
Sunday school?
Sunday school. You call it
Sunday
Sunday
school is fine.
school. So they grew up through Sunday school, and then when they got older, they realized that, hey, nothing changed. I'm a teenager now. I'm about to
Same
be an
thing.
adult, and everything's still the
Church
same
still
Yeah.
for Sunday
operating
school.
the
And then
same.
that's when it turns into the young people only thinking that church is for
Well,
for death, for life, and for new ventures. So that's a funeral, that's christening, and then that's the wedding. That's the
Wedding, right.
only three things that they see the purpose for church.
Yeah.
No, but that's
Stepping
a
into
good point
one, yeah.
because Sunday school was like engaging, and then once you're done with Sunday school, you a spectator.
I didn't understand much of
Yeah,
what
you're
was
like,
going
back to
on
life.
in
Mhm.
church because I grew up in a Baptist church, with the skirts and the hats and the poofy dresses and the whatever. So when I moved to the States and I went to Food Church for the first time, I was like,
Mm.
"This how we do in church now?
Mm-hmm.
This is church?"
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I was literally shocked because before then I hadn't been to church in years. And it was just like, when I left the church, it was still the same big hat, poofy dresses, women falling out, all kind of things going on. And now here I am at this different church where the whole auditorium is dark during worship.
Right.
And then there's
yeah.
lights going.
There's an
and
atmosphere.
first of all,
Yeah.
ain't a whole big choir up there. It's like 5 or 6 people, and they singing, and these worship songs, and you got people crowding up in the front of the stage to worship. Like all the worship music I remember in church was, this is just the whole time, the whole worship set, just. And it's just like now
Yeah.
church has evolved
some
now,
rhythm.
and I didn't really understand much about church growing up anyway. But I would say, like, as an adult now, church has been a more pleasant experience. Children's church,
Yeah.
I had children's church in the church that I grew up in. So it was cool. Like, they did their best to like teach us or whatever. But there's like, I think what turns people away from the church, even Christians, because I saw a post that was like, you left the church. It was saying something about you didn't try God, you tried the church, and when the church failed you, you left God or whatever. And it was just
Ooh,
like,
talk about it, you know.
like
That's why I'm saying
you-
it's the church that failed the world. The church failed.
encountering people
Yes,
that aren't
wow.
doing the walk properly, and because they have failed you,
You feel like
put
God
that
had
same
failed you.
disappointment on God. And it's
Yeah.
like, no, you didn't try God for yourself. You put more of your hope and faith in man than you did God. So when you got hurt, you turned away from the church. Some churches they just aren't welcoming.
That's
Their
similar
community
to what
is
I was saying the other podcast when I was like, we experience God and people, but then sometimes with those same people, when we get that disappointment, we turn it to God.
that and
we
put it on
point,
God.
We point all of the past hurt.
Like,
and
the church shunned
trauma
me
to
because
him.
of my
Yeah,
weight, so now
exactly.
God can shun me because of my weight or whatever. And like, I feel bad for a lot of people that went through genuine church hurt.
Because it's not nice. Because like you go to somewhere where you're supposed to be loved and
Yeah.
accepted, and then they tell you, oh, your hair is a certain way, so
And you think that's
or
your
the
direct
shoes you
connect to
wear,
God as
like,
well.
and it's like certain times, like I'm sure it's happened where like a church didn't accept a teaching because the person who was sharing the word didn't have his best suit on. He just had something a regular
Child,
like
these
shirt
pastors
and pants.
be out here wearing jeans and
That's what I'm trying to
loafers.
say. But I mean, like the stigma of back then of what happened. Like people, I'm sure, like there have been people who have experienced this. So like because they aren't flashy, the congregation or the people didn't accept what he was saying because they're saying like, oh, he's suffering, so he don't even know what he's saying.
Oh, my
or if you
goodness.
come to that church and you're not wearing your best, they automatically think
Yeah,
you're
'cause
in
in
your
certain
worst.
churches,
You're in your worst
you
period.
gotta look a
Yeah.
certain
You're in your
way.
worst time
Like, there's
frame.
a certain. It's
And
just dress
that
up.
isn't how it should be.
It's
yes,
just dress up.
Yes, God says God looks on the inside, but man looks on the outside. But it doesn't mean that everybody has to be flashing and and showing everything that they have in their closet just to come to and accept the word.
Like people have experienced like gossiping. They've experienced sexual assault from leaders. Like some churches just have poor leadership because the issue with the church is that, especially the leadership, everybody isn't seeking after God the way that they should be. So when God isn't the head of everything that everyone is doing, then things start to fall off, and like it's not a church anymore. It's just a place full of worldly people. And it doesn't make any sense, and it's hurtful to those people that have been failed by their leadership, because the people that are leading these churches, like there's a lot required of them. Like a lot of people are looking up to them to learn
I think
for
that's
mentorship.
one of the biggest issues.
And the issue is like a lot of them have been failed by the people that were over them spiritually, that we're supposed to protect them and love them and mentor them and show them and show them how to live, because as a pastor you are an example. And I also believe too that people don't realize that pastors are also human. They're also susceptible to sin. They're susceptible to the same things that are tempting you. Pastors are tempted to as well. The issue comes when the pastor is not fully submitted to God. And then it's hurting. It hurts us when we idolize these people, and then when they make a mistake, we're broken. And it's just like, you have to remember that even though they're a pastor, they're human. Like we have seen too many mega church pastors literally fail us.
Exactly.
Because they just wasn't submitted, like fully submitted to God, or like they didn't have the guidance that they needed to pull them out of a dark situation that they allowed themselves to be in.
I think one of the biggest issues is that a lot of the churches from past to today, like it's too many rules. It's way too many rules.
Religion.
Because
too much religion.
A place, like it doesn't even matter if it's just a church, a business, a group, a community. If you have a bunch of rules, that means there's something wrong, and it needs to be taken apart and put back together from the start.
Like ain't nothing wrong with rules.
I mean,
but like
it's no, like rules is an issue. Laws from God should be the standard. Rules are man-made. So if there are rules that highlight every single thing and action and everything you do in whatever type of environment you're in, whether it's a business, work, your job, or the church, there's an issue. Because people, they tiptoeing around you. It's not based on God. It's based on the person who instilling those rules. They feel like they can't live. And that's exactly what happens. Like people who stray away from the church, they feel that they can't live within the church because they're not even being themselves. They're not coming to God as themselves. They're coming to God as someone you want them to be.
That's a very good point. I was going to speak on that because I feel like some people, when they go to church, they don't feel like they're receiving what they're supposed to receive. Because, for example, if you go to church as a new churchgoer, right, it's now praise and worship time. You see people on their knees, like they crying, shedding tears, like they look like they convicted, but you just over here, you're not feeling like any of that really. You seeing people going through the most emotions, but you're not feeling anything. So it's like, what am I doing here? I'm not receiving what they're receiving. I'm not getting it. So I might as well leave.
But that's a them thing though. That wouldn't be the church, because at that point you need to ask yourself, why aren't you able to worship? Everybody doesn't worship the same. Some people want their hand up here, some people got two hands, some people down here, some people hand behind their back, some people head down, some people on their knees, some people crying. Most likely 9 out of 10 the people crying have fully experienced God or life in shambles, and that worship song,
they may be at their lowest point. They may be at their lowest point.
It's the song that they need at that time. So you need to, at that point, it wouldn't be the church. You got to ask yourself, why am I not connecting? Or maybe you're looking for a connection that just isn't you. Like maybe your connection during worship is not on your knees or however everybody else worships. So you need to find what your posture of worship looks like.
See, so that's like we have like the wrong, well, sometimes people have the wrong expectation going into church.
Yeah, they blame the church, and it's no.
It's a personal thing. And like even like every week, like if you go to church consistently, every week, this same person always has a testimony.
Gotta come with an empty heart.
That's what I'm saying. But like, you don't see yourself having testimonies to give. Like, you're right. It's an internal thing. And I feel like another reason why we don't really like Christianity is because we stop in ourselves.
And you know what's crazy? They don't tell you that. They don't tell you, like, because had to figure that out for myself, really. Like, it's not a mainstream, like, teaching that people worship in different ways. You don't have to be on your knees. You don't have to be
You don't
crying.
gotta jump
you don't
and
have to
cry
have your
and
hand.
fall out. And
They don't tell you that.
Yeah,
So, because
there's
I
no
also had the
blueprint.
same experience, too. I was just like, I don't feel comfortable raising my hands, but I feel like I have to, but I don't want to. So, it's just like... You know, and it's just like, this is supposed to be genuine, but like, I really don't want to.
You feel like you're performing at that
You feel like you're performing, and that's a problem.
It's not performative. Worship is where your heart is at. Like, me and Ashleigh worship totally different. Like, Ashleigh is more of a to himself, and it's not because that's just how he want to be during worship. That's his personality to be very, you know. And I think as his relationship with God evolves, then maybe one day he'll be confident enough to... And I don't even think it's a confidence thing. It'll just be like however he's comfortable. Me, I'll be next to him, one arm, two arm, both arms, crying, like, because that's the way that I worship. But I don't think his worship is any less than my worship because it looks different. Like, our relationships with God are personal. But people are not going to God for relationship. They going to God for religion. They going to church for religion, not for relationship. So they expect that one day a week to be enough. And when their lives don't look like the life of other people, they confused. You do God one day a week. The person that you're comparing yourself to is in their Bible every single day. Or not even, maybe every other day. But they have relationship with God. They've seen him move. They've acknowledged God's hand in their life. And because of that, their worship looks different. However, I could understand if you walking into the church and it just ain't adding up. Like, nothing making sense, and you it ain't just you that ain't feeling it, like nobody feeling it. Or like you realize that the word, you've been going to church for a while and you realize there's nothing convicting about these messages. This is prosperity gospel type of thing. That's another church that people just like, no. So at the end of the day, it's just
people like those.
You have to be...
people like those.
You have to be open, and it's no blueprint towards worship. Like, there's a blueprint on prayer because Jesus laid down a prayer if you don't know how to pray. But worship, there are many different instances in the Bible where people were worshiping.
And worship goes beyond worship at church.
with the ointment, the perfume. People who gave sacrifices. Abraham was about to give his son. Like, there are many different instances where people were giving worship or taking part in worship, and it was completely different.
And worship ain't just about
it didn't
that
have to
time
happen
in
that
church.
certain way.
Worship is our being.
They don't tell you
everything you do should be to worship God.
Ashleigh? It's just not mainstream information.
It's not mainstream
Exactly.
information in the church. And like, my biggest thing is a lot of people don't like Christianity, and they don't really know anything about us. Or it's because they themselves have been hurt and they feel like God is the cause of that hurt. And because of that, they don't like Christianity or Christians or God, or they walk around with this anger because it's just like, why would God allow this to happen kind of thing? And like, my heart goes out to you. It really does, because I don't understand. Like, I know we tend to question God when bad things happen, but I don't think I've ever been there. So I don't understand like what that's like. But I like do understand like wanting to stray away from the church if the church has harmed you. Like, for instance, single mothers or teenage mothers, drug dealers, men, baby daddies, single fathers,
people who've had a
like
past.
People who had a past.
And
Like, I
we're trying
get
to
it
get
if you
better.
feel like
Like-
you've been judged walking into a church or gossiped about, or you made a mistake, and God forgave you, but you don't feel like the church has forgiven you.
You felt like they turned their back on you.
They turned their back on
On
you
your lowest.
when you needed them the most,
Yeah.
in your lowest point. Like, I apologize
Yeah.
on behalf of the church. Like, I'm sorry. Like, and not just your like Big C church, like to all the people that have been failed, to all the women that have been body shamed, to all the couples that have been pressured into having children, to all the, like, one of my friends told me a story how I guess two people got married in the church, and when they got married, they were being pressured to have kids or whatever, and they had a plan. They had a plan that they were going to wait a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
But they were being pressured and pressured and pressured by the people in church. So the wife, conjured up a plan to get pregnant. She stopped taking her birth control unbeknownst to the husband, ended up getting pregnant.
And they weren't
And the
ready.
same people who was pressuring them to have that baby turned their back on them.
Oh man.
Like, you shunning a teenage mom for having a child so young. Like, you and I both know, I'm sure she realizes that at that age she probably shouldn't be a mom.
Yeah.
But like, you beating down on this young lady or gossiping about her and not protecting her, being there for her, helping her, that's trash.
Yeah.
Telling women to cover up in the church but not telling the men to watch their eyes. Trash.
Right.
I'm not sorry. Like, I understand we are meant to be modest and to cover up and
Right.
whatever have you. But what about the men, though?
Yeah.
You're not convicting them of being lustful, failing. Women that been through sexual assault from pastors and leaders and whatever, and just like, it's just a lot. There are a lot of
Yeah.
ways to be
Yeah.
hurt by the church, and that keeps people away,
Yeah.
like, for a long
Yeah.
time.
The reason why
Because-
we're saying
yeah.
all of this is because there are a lot of things that go wrong in the church. But
So many.
don't let that stray you from God.
From
Don't
Astray?
let
God. Yes.
astray.
Let that
Yes.
Lead you,
astray.
like, don't
And-
give up. Don't give up
Astray.
on God. It's okay to be fed up with
Yeah.
man, because
I be pronouncing
and
my
like-
words. They be hearing what they want to hear. Astray.
Or maybe you messed them up.
Yeah,
That's a good point, actually.
that's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about me or you talking about it?
I'm talking about you.
What?
It's okay, bro.
It's
You
alright.
gobble up your words sometimes.
But
It's okay.
to piggyback off of what you said, like, darn, I lost my train of thought on what you said.
Hop back
He
on
said
the
it-
train.
Yeah, the
Who,
church.
her or
he said
me?
it- said
You,
the church messes up.
Ashen.
Oh, I was saying
Don't-
don't let
Don't-
The
Church.
church stop you from loving God.
don't let what the church
Yes.
does to you. Don't let them shun you away from God.
Yeah,
You know?
and you may like have no
I do.
idea on how to like draw near to God, because to go back to the worship thing, because like I really feel that, like, what is worship, you know? And some people don't know like how many ways, shapes, forms that could look like, you know?
Yeah, it's not
Like,
gonna
it's
be
not
perfect.
just singing and it's not just praying. Like, I found this out recently. Like, just keeping God in mind, like when you like do something, is worship. Like,
Yeah.
just keeping him in mind. And I'm like really in awe of that, and like including him in everything.
And doing things like you're
Even-
doing it for him.
Yes. And like, even when like you're upset too, like just being like bringing God into that instead of making your anger like push you away from God too. Like I've been doing that a lot recently, because like things have been like, I've been praying a lot more recently, and like when I pray, it's not always just like, God, I'm so thankful for this, and I'm, you know, all this gratitude and everything. Like sometimes some real emotions come up and I'm like, I'm really angry and I don't want to pray for that person. Like stuff like that.
Be real
And
about
I'll
it.
I'll bring it up to God, and like we'll talk it through. And that's not something that's fairly new to me. Like I've known the principle for a while to do that, but like actually doing it, bringing it up and being like, God, I'm really angry at this person and I don't think that they deserve any prayer. Like, that's worship, you know? And I think it's important, like, for people to know that, you know, anything that you dedicate to God, like, just to put a definition to it, what you are dedicating, like, to God, like, is worship.
Mm-hmm.
And don't let the negative make you turn your back. Don't let it push you towards a path that in the end you don't actually want to take.
Yeah.
Because we're saying all of this because it's possible for any of these things to happen to you when you're visiting a church, when you're visiting a group of worship. Like all of these things are they're inevitable.
Yeah.
You can't hide from it because
Yeah.
nobody's perfect. It would have been easy for God to make us perfect and just have everything fall in line.
Right,
But
right.
that wouldn't be us. That wouldn't be us because we're people. Like things happen, we make mistakes, we pick back up, we carry along again. You got to move on. And it just shows that you have to be able to persevere. You have to be able to push on. You have to be able to keep on striving to put your best foot forward to find your way closer to God. Because if you always watch what other people are doing to you, what other people are doing when you go to church, it'll keep you blindsided. It'll have you distracted. And those are a lot of distractions. There's a lot of distractions in this world. So don't let any of us stop you. Don't let your church stop you. Find
I don't know
God.
who need to head. Let's find another church.
basically. Find
Try
God
another church.
in the negative.
Find God for yourself. is what-
Community is important.
Find
it is
God in
very
the
important. Like, I understand wanting to shun everybody away, but community is important. So I would say try out another church. You know what I mean? Just try.
Mhm.
I thought the church I started going to when I moved over here would have been my bread and butter, but I outgrew it. Nothing wrong with the church. I just needed a more tight-knit community where I could sit with my pastors and ask questions and connect with people a lot easier. And the church I started going to, VU,
Oh,
was too big.
shoot.
I loved VU. Like, the word was good, the worship was good, everything. VU was amazing, but it was just too big for me. I can't do huge church. I can't do it. But I can do small, and not our church is actually pretty big, but I can get into a room with the pastors and connect with them more personally.
No shade to
and
anybody. All
like
love.
no, like literally no shade to VU because I was baptized there.
All love.
Like, shout out to Manushka, she baptized me. Like, I had a really great experience. I loved VU, but I outgrew it. Like, it just wasn't where God wanted me to be. So I outgrew it for a reason. Like,
Yeah.
there are people that are there because God called them to be and stay there. That just wasn't for me. But
Yeah, you have to.
yeah.
You want to feel like you're in the tribe rather than you're looking on
From the outside, like,
from the wall.
Must be
like,
nice.
Like
It
a
got.
fly.
I know it must. Yeah.
Like a fly on the wall. Yeah.
I wasn't gonna say. I was gonna say like Jericho's wall. Like, but it would be hard. Always feeling like you're Zacchaeus. You gotta climb the highest tree just to see a pastor or to see the person or to connect with them, or you gotta climb in the roof and put a hole in the roof and then lower.
An attic? I mean, a chimney?
No,
Okay.
I'm talking on the roof, but you got it. It's your imagination. But yeah, like it's understandable. Like, you want to be able to connect with the person who's sharing the word with you. So everybody have their different types of flavor that they want to embark in. So it all depends on your spirit. Whatever you feel is bringing you closer to God, you follow that. Follow that. Let that lead you.
You want to close this out?
Yes.
But I pray and hope that these things that we've said have
I
been
feel like we didn't really
enlightening.
stay on top.
You know?
I mean, we ended up just talking about the church,
Yeah.
not really being.
I don't know. Maybe because the church might be the main.
I mean, I feel like we just was laying off all the things that people say and what people think.
And whatever.
And,
True.
and this is real.
Yeah,
Like
you
like
could
there's a
close-
lot of the stuff like people being saying.
Yeah, you could close this
But-
out, I guess.
It's been fun,
It's been real fun.
saying a few words of encouragement, of wisdom, of knowledge, all that good stuff, all that hoopla. If you feeling that.
Sounds like a bottle of hoopla.
But it's your boy Ash. Again, this has been More Than Conversation, where we do life together.
And talk
Talk
about
about
it.
it.
So we, hope y'all stay breezy, be cheesy, fromage.
Maybe.
Until next time, MTC on 3. 1, 2, 3.
MTC. Bye, guys.
Fromage.